Inside a small house struck by golden light from a window with an old curtain, there is a woman sitting on an old chair, her shoulders trembling while holding back a sob. She wore her simple yellow duster, her hair was dishevelled, her eyes were swollen, and her hand was covering her mouth as if she wanted to stop the sound of her world collapsing. At the back, at the open door, his wife was standing, carrying a bag, looking back at him with a cold gaze, while beside her was a woman wearing an olive blouse and pants, smiling as if she was the winner in this scene, holding a key as if she was the one who now has the right to enter and exit. On the side there is a boy standing, holding a toy, looking at his mother, who is crying as if he doesn't understand why the home suddenly became like this. The question: how far can a man crush his wife before he finds out that the old hag he belittles has a strength he can't match? The word that became a nail in the heart. Lenny couldn't count how many times she had heard that word. Old hag. It seemed like a simple joke at first, when she just woke up, when she was sweating in the kitchen, when her clothes had milk stains because of the child. But as the years passed, the tone changed. It became an insult. It became a label. It became a reason for her to gradually lose her voice in her own home. "You're not like before," her husband Armand said coldly while pulling the strap of his bag. "You're always in a duster. You're always at home. You don't know how to fix yourself anymore. You're embarrassing." Embarrassing. It's like being a mother is a sin. It seems that being a wife who takes care of the house is a trade-off that belittlement must pay for. Lenny tried to speak, but something was stuck in her throat. She is not ignorant. She is not stupid. But in the many times that she ate her own tears so that her child would not hear, she became accustomed to silence. The problem is, when you get used to being silent, you also get to believe the lie that you are worthless. In the corner, their child Jomar was looking at his mother, his eyes filled with fear, holding a toy as if it were the only stable thing in his world. He wanted to approach, but he was afraid of the sudden coldness in his father's voice, and the smile that didn't match the situation of the woman at the door, the woman with the key. The woman beside Armand is not shouting. She is not insulting either. It's even more painful because she's smiling, the kind of smile that seems to say, "It's my turn now." He held the key and waved it slightly, as if showing Leanie that there was a new owner of Armand's life, and Leanie was finished. "Armand, we are late," the woman said, her tone gentle, but it pierced Lenny's ears. "We still have a reservation." Reservation. It's like a normal date. It's like they're not destroying the family in front of the child. Lenny's hand tightened on her mouth. She didn't cry out loud. She didn't throw a fit. But inside her, something was screaming. Not just because she was left, but because she was left in this way with another woman, with arrogance and with insults as a bonus prize. "Look at yourself," Armand added, not even looking at their child. "You're not pleasing anymore. Just don't hope anymore. We're done. We're done." A sentence that can kill many years of dreams. The last night at home. As they finally went out, the door closed with a sound that wasn't loud but enough for Leanie to feel that a part of her life had locked. She remained in her seat, staring at the floor, while the air slowly became heavy. It was as if even the light from the window had darkened. Jomar approached, slowly, his hand trembling while holding the toy. "Mama, is Papa leaving?" he asked softly, as if afraid of the answer. Then Lenny finally broke down. She cried, but not the dramatic kind of crying, the kind of crying that came from the very depths of her chest. The woman who had long been told she was not enough cried until one day she was left because of the things she herself sacrificed, being a wife and mother. She pulled her child closer and hugged tightly. "I am here," she whispered. "Even if he left, I am here." But inside her, there was a question. How long would she remain here if she herself was slowly disappearing? The quiet but heavy days. Weeks passed as if time wasn't breathing. See Lenny woke up to cook, clean, fetch the child, and at night cried silently. There were neighbors who asked. There were those who whispered. There were those who said, "Oh my, she was left." But no one knows how painful it is when what is left is not just a relationship, but dignity. One morning, while she was doing laundry, there was a knock. An envelope addressed to her, not from the court, not from Armand's lawyer, from a company. "What's this?" she whispered, her fingers trembling as she opened the paper. Inside, there was an invitation, casting call, campaign. There is a product name for moms, for women, for real life, and there is a line that seems to be written for her. We are looking for real stories, real faces, real strength. She couldn't remember when she was last called strong. All she knew was that she had long been called a has-been. She didn't take it seriously right away. She thought it was a scam. She thought it was a joke. But it came with a calling card. The name of the agency was known. There was a schedule. There was a place. And for the first time after a long time, a small fire ignited in his chest. Not to take revenge on Armand, but to save his own lost self. The rice without an observer. It wasn't easy. On the first day of the audition, he was still trembling. She doesn't know how to put on makeup. She doesn't have expensive clothes. Her clothes are simple, neat, clean, but not social. She's carrying a small bag, and she's holding Jomar's hand because she has no one to leave him with. In the waiting area, there are women who look like actresses. They are smooth-skinned, they smell good, make confidence, and Leni, it seemed like she wanted to retreat. But before she could fully go back to the door, a staff member approached and smiled. "Are you Lenny?" she asked. "Thank you for coming. We read your story. You can come in now." Inside the small studio, the director asked her, "What did you go through?" And there, in front of the camera, she did not act. She didn't need to. She cried truly. She recounted the losing, the abandonment, her child who witnessed it, the silent nights, the weariness that no one noticed. And with each word, his voice seemed to be gradually returning. It was as if something that had long been coiled around his neck was slowly loosening. When he left the studio, he didn't know if he passed, but he knew one thing. He was no longer as small as before. The billboard that became a mirror. A few months passed. Leni's days gradually changed. She didn't suddenly get rich. Everything didn't immediately get easier. But she has a job now part-time in the campaign, plus a small online gig that the agency taught her. He learned to fix himself, yes, but more importantly, he learned to see himself not as worn out, but as just tired. And tiredness is not shame. One afternoon, while Armand was going home from work with the woman he exchanged for, they passed a large highway. Traffic. Hot. The radio is on, but the noise is useless. And there she saw it. A billboard. Big, bright, visible even from afar. Leni's face was there, not the one crying in the chair, but looking straight at the camera with a simple smile, with a hint of courage in her eyes. He wore the clean clothes, looked natural, and on the side of the billboard There was a tagline. A mother is not Loziang, just tired, but fighting back. Armin froze. It felt like something hit his chest, not because he immediately regretted it, but because for the first time he saw that he was wrong. He saw that the woman he called shameful was now the face of a campaign being praised throughout the city. See Leniyan, whispered the woman with him, her smile suddenly gone. Did you leave that? Armin did not answer. She was just staring at the billboard as if she couldn't accept it. In her mind, a question repeated itself. How did she get here? How did it become like this? And the heaviest, how did she manage to belittle the person who could stand up on their own? The return that is too late. That evening, Armin went to the house. He no longer knocked boldly. He no longer entered as if he were the owner. He stood silently outside, holding a bag of fruit, like an offering, like an apology that was not enough. When Leni opened the door, she was not surprised. It's like he already knew this was coming, not because he was waiting for it, but because he knew Armin's character. When there's noise outside, that's when he'll act. Leni stood at the door, simply dressed, her hair neat. She wasn't perfect, she wasn't an actress, but the aura was different. She is no longer the woman sitting on the chair crying and covering her mouth. This is the woman who learned to breathe again. Leni, Armin said, his voice hoarse. Can we talk? Leni looked at him, silent. Inside the house, Jomar peeked, a little taller, his gaze sharper. He was no longer the scared child. He was a child who had learned how to be hurt. Talk? Leni repeated, softly but clearly. It should have been done a long time ago. Armin looked at the floor. I made a mistake, he said. I don't know. That you can... That I can live without you? Leni cut in, no shouting, but it hit. Yes, I can. Because while you call me Luxiang, I am the one who gets up. I am the one who takes care. I am the one who fights. Armin was silent. There was no excuse that was enough. I don't need a billboard to be important, Leni added, but I need to see myself to remember that. And for the first time, Armin's arrogance crumbled without anyone pushing, because true regret doesn't come from losing a woman. It comes from realizing that he was wrong, and it was too late.